The Hendersons make $76,000 a year in Columbus, Ohio, and they are careful people. They buy store brands. They drive a 7-year-old SUV with no plans to replace it. They refinanced the mortgage when rates dropped. And yet last year, they quietly bled thousands of dollars through their own household bills without noticing a dime of it leave. They are not reckless. They are normal, which is exactly the problem. The single mistake costing them the most is number 1 on this list, and 9 out of 10 families are making it too. The research is blunt. 89% of consumers underestimate what they spend on subscriptions alone. Most families overpay not because they spend carelessly, but because recurring bills get set up once and then never audited again. The companies count on that silence. The Hendersons story runs through every mistake that follows. Number 17 is money. Nearly half of all families are paying for something they completely forgot they own. Number 9 quietly adds up to $200 a year while everyone sleeps. And number 1 is the mistake underneath all the others. These 20 mistakes aren't about being bad with money. They're about the traps built into every bill you pay. Hit that subscribe button. Let's count them down. Number 20. Putting every bill on auto pay and never looking again. This is where the Hendersons went wrong first, and it's the mistake underneath dozens of others. Auto pay feels responsible. You never miss a payment. But 72% of families have everything on auto pay, and that's exactly how price increases, missed discounts, and outright billing errors slip past unnoticed. The charge just clears, month after month, and no one ever reads it. The fix costs nothing. You keep auto pay if you like, but you actually read every bill each cycle. The Hendersons found 3 separate price creeps the first month they looked. Auto pay isn't the enemy. Not looking is. Number 19. Focusing on the mortgage and ignoring everything else. The biggest mistake families make is obsessing over the one huge bill and waving off all the small ones. The rent or mortgage gets all the attention, and then the subscriptions, the utility waste, the stale phone plan, and the insurance premiums pile up underneath it, ignored. But a one-time splurge stings once. A recurring bill drains you every single month, long after you've forgotten the decision. The Hendersons watched the mortgage like hawks, and never once questioned the 40 smaller charges bleeding them dry. The fix is to treat the small recurring bills as the real battlefield. Not the obvious bill, the quiet ones. Number 18. Never negotiating the cable and internet. Families assume the price on the bill is the price, and it almost never is. Cable, internet, and phone are among the most negotiable bills you have, and the providers bank on your inertia to keep charging you more than a new customer pays. The fix is one phone call. You say you're thinking of canceling, and you get transferred to the retention department, whose entire job is keeping you, and a lower rate you never knew existed appears. The Hendersons cut $25 a month in a 10-minute call they'd been avoiding for 3 years. Not rude. The refusal to keep paying the loyalty penalty. Number 17. Paying for subscriptions nobody uses. This is the mistake nearly half of all families make right now. The average household spends $219 a month on subscriptions, and studies show 30 to 40% of that goes to services that are underused or completely forgotten. 42% of people admit they forgot about a subscription entirely while still being charged for it. The fix is a 15-minute audit. You pull the statement, circle every recurring charge, and cancel anything you haven't touched in a month. The Hendersons found 4 dead subscriptions the first time they looked, including one they hadn't opened in 2 years. Not careless spending. Charges on autopilot, quietly draining the account. Number 16. Letting insurance auto-renew year after year. Loyalty to an insurance company is one of the most expensive habits a family can have. Insurers quietly raise premiums at renewal, often with no explanation, and they count on you auto-renewing without a glance. But shopping around at renewal can save $200 to $500 a year on a single policy, and drivers routinely find a lower rate simply by comparing. The fix is 30 minutes once a year. You get 3 fresh quotes before every renewal. The Hendersons had auto-renewed the same car policy for 6 years and found a rate almost $100 a month cheaper. Not disloyal, refusing to be punished for staying.
Before we go on, I made something special for you. Guides for people like us who still believe the old ways mattered. They're the forgotten money habits our grandparents lived by, tricks that could save you thousands a year. But this knowledge is disappearing, and once it's gone for good. I've put together 2 books for you plus a free bonus. Imagine how much you could save over the next year by starting today. Scan the QR code on screen now or click the link below. I'll wait.
Number 15. Never bundling what could be bundled. Families often hold their home, auto, and other policies with separate companies out of pure habit and pay for the privilege. Combining home, auto, and umbrella coverage under one insurer typically earns a multi-policy discount of 5 to 25%. It is money for a single phone call. The fix is to ask each insurer what they would knock off for bringing the other policies over. The Hendersons pulled 2 policies under one company, and the discount alone paid for a month of groceries. Not a hassle. A discount most families leave sitting on the table for no reason but inertia. Number 14. Overpaying on medical bills you never checked. This is the mistake that costs the most per incident. Medical bills are riddled with duplicate charges and services that should have been covered by insurance, and auto-pay makes it worse, processing payment before an error is ever caught. People end up overpaying by hundreds because they never reviewed the statement line by line. The fix is to itemize. You request the detailed bill, check every charge against your coverage, and dispute the errors before you pay. The Hendersons caught a double-billed lab charge that saved them $90. Not paranoia. The plain fact that the first bill is often wrong and always in their favor. Here's the uncomfortable truth underneath all of this, and it's why the title says 9 out of 10. None of these families are irresponsible. The Hendersons grab store brands, drive an old car, refinanced when it was smart. 89% of consumers underestimate their own subscription spending. 66% are off by more than $200 a month. This isn't a character flaw spread across the entire country. It's a structural feature of how modern bills are built, small recurring charges on auto-pay, spread across different dates and different cards, each one individually too small to notice and collectively large enough to sink a budget. The system is designed so that doing nothing costs you money, and doing something requires effort. That asymmetry is the whole game. Every mistake on this list is really the same mistake, trusting a system built to overcharge quiet people. Number 13. Keeping the thermostat in one place all day. Heating and cooling is roughly half of a home's entire energy bill, the single biggest lever there is, and most families never touch it. They hold the thermostat at one temperature around the clock, conditioning empty rooms and an empty house all day. The fix is a setback, Dropping the thermostat 7 to 10 degrees for the 8 hours you're asleep or out can cut the bill by about 10%, and a programmable thermostat does it automatically, saving around $180 a year. The Hendersons set a schedule and forgot about it, and the savings ran every month. Not discomfort, refusing to heat a house standing empty. Number 12. Ignoring the drafts. A house leaks money through gaps you can feel with your hand, under doors, around windows, at outlets on exterior walls. Every one of them is conditioned air walking out in winter and heat pouring in every summer. Sealing those leaks with weather stripping and caulk costs under $30 and can cut heating and cooling costs by up to 20%. Consumer Reports puts it around $324 a year. The fix is one Saturday with a caulk gun. The Hendersons felt the draft under the back door for 4 winters before they spent an afternoon on it. Not a renovation, closing the holes they were paying to heat. Number 11. Setting the water heater too high. Most water heaters ship set to 140 degrees, hotter than anyone needs, and quietly leaking heat into the basement all day. That default setting costs real money for water no one uses at that temperature. The fix takes 2 minutes. You turn the dial down to 120 degrees, which is plenty hot for showers, dishes, and sanitation, and wrap the tank in a $10 insulating blanket while you're down there. The Hendersons turned theirs down and never noticed a difference except on the bill. Not a sacrifice. 20 degrees they were paying for and never using. Number 10. Running an old second fridge for 6 drinks. The extra refrigerator in the garage, the one holding a few sodas and a bag of ice, never turns off. And an old unit out in an unheated space works far harder than the one in the kitchen. It runs all night, all summer, all year, for almost nothing in return. The fix is honest math. You decide whether you actually need it, and if not, you unplug it. The Hendersons pulled the plug on theirs and consolidated into the kitchen, and the electric bill dropped noticeably the next month. Not deprivation. Refusing to pay a machine to keep 6 cans cold. Number 9. Leaving everything plugged in. This is the drain that runs while everyone sleeps. Devices switched off still pull power. The cable box, the TV, the game console, every charger in the wall, and this phantom load accounts for 5 to 10% of a home's electricity, roughly $100 to $200 a year for nothing. The fix is a power strip. You cluster the electronics onto strips and flip them off at night. The Hendersons put the entertainment center and the chargers on switched strips and clawed back $200 a year with a nightly flick of the wrist. Not fussiness. $200 a year for a switch. Number 8. Never checking the property tax bill. For families who own their home, this is one of the largest bills there is, and one of the least questioned. Nearly every state offers a senior or homestead exemption, a freeze, or an appeal process, and only about 8% of eligible homeowners ever claim the relief they're entitled to. Even families who don't qualify for exemptions can appeal an assessment that's higher than comparable homes. The fix is one form at the county assessor's office. The Hendersons discovered they'd been overassessed for years and filed an appeal that cut the bill. Not a loophole. Money the county will happily keep if you never ask. Now, go back to the evening this all came to a head for the Hendersons. A bigger-than-usual power bill landed the same week the car insurance renewed, and a streaming charge they didn't recognize hit the card. Mrs. Henderson sat down at the kitchen table, pulled up 3 months of statements, and started reading. Really, reading for the first time in years. What she found was not one disaster. It was 40 small ones. A subscription they'd forgotten, a cable rate that had crept up twice, an insurance premium that had quietly climbed every renewal, a thermostat running all day in an empty house. None of it was dramatic. None of it had ever tripped an alarm. It had simply been leaking month after month, while two careful people looked the other way because each individual charge was too small to bother with. That night was when the counting started. Number 7, paying full price when a discount was one question away. Half the discounts in this country are never advertised. You have to ask. The senior rate, the loyalty credit, the auto-pay discount, the low-income utility rate, the AARP price at the pharmacy. Families pay the sticker price on 100 things that had a cheaper version available for the asking. The fix is a habit. At every counter and on every service call, you ask whether there's a discount you qualify for. The worst answer is no. The Hendersons started asking everywhere and were startled how often the answer was yes, not begging, the plain refusal to pay full price out of politeness. Number 6, buying convenience. The household could do itself. Families quietly pay for a dozen services they could handle in minutes. The lawn, the small repair, the pre-cut produce, the meal kit, the coffee out every morning. Each feels minor. A $6 daily coffee alone runs over $2,000 a year. The fix is not to give up everything, but to notice what you are paying to outsource and reclaim the easy ones. The Hendersons started brewing coffee at home on weekdays and packing lunches and redirected hundreds of dollars a year, not going without, refusing to pay a premium for what two hands can do in 10 minutes. Number 5, never using the free tools that catch the leaks. Families overpay because tracking every bill by hand is genuinely hard, so they don't. But there are free tools that read your statements, flag every recurring charge, and surface the price increases you'd never spot. The fix is 30 minutes of setup. You run a subscription audit tool or a benefits screener and let it find what your eyes missed. The Hendersons ran one, and it surfaced 2 forgotten charges and a utility discount they qualified for. Not complicated, letting a free tool do the tedious work that inertia was quietly costing them. Number 4, treating small bills as too small to bother with. This is the psychology the whole system runs on. A $5 charge, a $2 creep, a $10 fee. Each one feels beneath your attention, so it survives, and 40 of them together become a car payment. The research is clear that people underestimate precisely because small recurring charges bypass normal spending awareness. The fix is a mindset. Nothing recurring is too small to question because it repeats forever. The Hendersons started treating every line as fair game, and the small ones added up to the biggest savings of all, not penny pinching. Understanding that small times 12 times forever is not small. Number 3, paying for the bill instead of shopping the bill. Families pay the bill in front of them and never ask whether a better provider exists. Whether it is the phone carrier, the insurer, the internet company, or the energy supplier in deregulated states, loyalty is almost always more expensive than switching. The fix is to shop every major bill once a year, the way you would shop a big purchase. The Hendersons switched phone carriers and cut their bill nearly in half for the same service. Not disloyalty. The plain recognition that no company will ever lower your bill for staying quiet. Number 2, waiting for a crisis to look at the bills. Most families only audit their spending when something breaks, a job lost, a bill they can't cover, a card declined. By then, the leaking has run for years. The fix is to make the review routine instead of reactive. One afternoon, once a season, every bill on the table, whether or not anything is wrong. The Hendersons had never once done a calm, no-emergency review until that night, and it was the review, not any single cut, that changed everything. Not damage control. Looking before you're forced to, while the money can still be saved. Number 1. Assuming the bill is fixed, final, and fair. Here is the mistake underneath every other one on this list. The one 9 out of 10 families make without ever knowing it. They believe the number on the bill is simply the number, set, correct, and non-negotiable. It almost never is. The price crept up when no one was looking. A discount expired. A subscription outlived its use. An error went unchallenged. A better provider sat one phone call away. Every bill in the modern household is a starting offer aimed at people who won't push back, and the entire system is engineered so that doing nothing is the expensive choice. The Hendersons spent one afternoon treating every bill as a question instead of a fact, and Consumer Reports found families doing exactly that can cut more than $800 a month. They didn't earn a raise, they just stopped assuming. The mistake was never overspending. The mistake was believing the bill was telling the truth. None of this required a bigger income, a financial advisor, or a single dollar the Hendersons didn't already have. It required attention, the willingness to look at every bill plainly, without the assumption that it was already right. The whole system of modern household billing is built on a quiet bet that families won't read, won't ask, won't shop, and won't push back. And 9 out of 10 families prove that bet correct every month. But the moment you stop assuming, the entire thing tilts back in your favor. The Hendersons make an ordinary income and live an ordinary life, and they found thousands of dollars a year sitting inside bills they'd been paying without a glance. They were never careless. They were just quiet, in a system that charges you for silence. The bills were never fixed. They only looked that way to people who never questioned them. This week, you question them.